Alright, Ken, this is the running at normal idle speed from the Arduino. Crank in, crank out signals. Pretty solid. And I can zoom out and you can see the gap running through the missing teeth. Pretty consistent all the way. And stable signal. And this is the current RPM, slightly above idle. So what I do is I got a PWM signal that comes out of here. And that signal goes into the Arduino where I have my signal for adjusting the RPM, and that runs into the RPM control. So what it's essentially doing is increasing the RPM, then decreasing the RPM, then increasing the RPM at the speed that this one comes out at. And I'm not sure, I'd have to check what that is, but basically whatever the speed, I think it's like a 1 kilohertz, 1 kilohertz 5 volts, 1 kilohertz 0 volts, and that's being injected into here, the RPM. So that's increasing and decreasing the RPMs of the Arduino at the speed of that signal coming out. And what that does is it creates a similar signal to what we were seeing, where it increases and decreases so fast that you have a hard time tracking the RPMs from the crank. And if you look, the RPMs are very unstable. You'll see it jump up as high as maybe 4,000 or so RPMs, down to 1,200, back up to 4,000 or so, kind of jumping all over the place. But what's interesting is if you zoom out, oops, I'm zooming in too far. Okay. If you zoom out on the signal and you zoom out all the way, the gap is still visible in regular intervals all the way. So as long as we can detect that gap, then it should be able to determine the start point and the RPM from the crank. And you can kind of see it here, but as you zoom in, like you can see it consistent here. It's just as you zoom in, you lose track of it because you're looking at individual teeth and you're having a hard time seeing the increase and decrease in RPM. So it moves around a lot, but there's a big enough space to see the gap still, even with that error. And then if I take the signal off, it's the same, just cleaner. Add the air, with the air, without the air. So the RPM does change, but it does see the gap. Looks like maybe it increases 1/3 faster or so. I don't know. Anyways, that's about the best I can do to simulate what it was doing in the truck, at least with what I got here right now.